Hi there, Carrie here again. And I thought I'd end the week with something practical because I know sometimes what our brain does is say, well, that's all nice woo-woo stuff, but I need something hard and concrete, something practical. So if your brain thinks it needs something practical, then let's pretend to give it that. Yeah. So if your mind says, I must do to have, then let's give it something, because actually you don't have to. I mean, to become skillful at steno, whether mask or machine doesn't matter. It takes the hours of practice. It takes that 10,000 hours to master the skill, regardless of what field you're talking about. But let's talk about giving your steno brain something practical. And I've got a bunch of notes all over this page. Some of them may make sense if I don't know, somewhere I was told to say, don't spend more time than you have. I don't know who that was meant for, but somebody out there needs to hear it. So let's set up a daily practice. For some of you, it's going to be you log into your school and that's your daily practice. But the first thing I want you to do before you do anything is to set your intentions for the day. I want you to set up where you want your day going, not a to-do list, I feel list, I envision list, I want to have more of list. So I want you to set your intentions to be excited, to be engaged, to be encouraged, even to perhaps be enchanted, whatever it takes to get you in that set place of, I can do this. And that's not just setting your intentions, but that's also number 2 on my list, which is your mood. Evaluating your mood and getting it into a place where you're engaged in your practice. You're not just showing up and going through the motions. Eventually, any motions will get you results, but you want high-powered, impactful, meaningful, double the dollar bang for your buck kind of results. So feel where you are before you start practicing, before you sit down to study, before you do anything. Evaluate, am I in that state of mind that a class A reporter out there would have when he or she is going into a job, that I know what I'm doing, I know what I want, I know what I'm bringing to the table. This is me 100% all in, showing up, doing the stuff I need to do for me to become a better, bigger, faster version of me. Your mood. If you have problems with your mood, please get a hold of me, because I'm the queen of having problems with my mood, and we can fix whatever it is that's stumbling you. I went through 50 plus years in my life of waking up every single morning with anxiety that was overwhelming me, with feeling depressed and down and very victimized. And my brain said, hey, I got a lot of reason to feel these ways. And it was right. But being right didn't take me to that more joyful, impactful place of creating the life that I want. Changing how I felt, changing how I thought, changing what I believed. That is what did that. So set your intentions, address your mood, get it where you want it to be to get you the best results for the day. It will double your bang for your buck. And then your protocol. What is your protocol for the day? For some of you, like I said, it's what you do in school. It's set out for you, and that's fine. If it's working for you and you're dedicated to it and committed to it and willing to do that consistently every day, you are going to get results. For some of you out there who have dropped out of programs because you're not getting whatever it was you felt like you needed in the program, and I get that, or for anybody who's at 160 and above, who feels like somehow school is holding them back, and I know that sounds absurd, but it can happen. You can set your own protocol. You can, I mean, it takes more than just the relentless determination, the dogged commitment. It takes perseverance and consistency and absolute you dedicating every minute of every day that you have available to getting the results that you want. If you have that kind of discipline, you can get out of school, you can become certified, you can be working faster than you can imagine. It takes a special person, because not everybody has that kind of discipline, that kind of drive, that kind of knowing that I'm done with school and I'm going to do painfully whatever it is I've got to do to get out of it as fast as I can. I don't like it, I'm getting out, but I'm getting out as fast as I can. I'm going to do the hard things that I need to do because the hard things are going to make me better. For that special kind of a person, or for those of you who are in a program and don't feel like you're getting results from the protocol that you're using, then let's investigate a couple of other possible protocols. I'm going to give you some ideas of things that have worked for others in the past. Use what works and double down on it. If anything does not feel, and of course you have to do the hard stuff to become better at the hard stuff. But if something just does not resonate with you for the moment, realize that you may not get the results you want, but put it aside and double up on what does feel like it's getting you the result. Now, that being said, sometimes it's hard to figure out if you're getting the results or not, because you are changing and evolving and becoming faster in every minute of practice, even though you can't see that, but it's happening behind the scenes. There are things going on with your hearing, with your thought processing, with literally downloading your dictionary and combinations of words into your subconscious, which is amazingly fast. And that stuff is not quantifiable from where you're sitting. And that's where the tests come in handy for schools sometimes. Although there are people who have gotten out into the field working who never were in a school setting. They were self-taught and they didn't have that struggle of tests. It was just, am I fast enough? I am working on hard material. It's fast, it's unfamiliar, it's long hours of it. And am I fast enough yet to pass the RPR? And by golly, for those people, they were. I don't know what their statistics were as far as how many times they had to take it or how difficult of a task that was, but I know they did not have the embedded message of I'm really good at failing. That's all I ever do. They didn't have that to overcome. It was just how much faster can I get? It was a game against themselves, pushing the bar up higher and higher just because they could. Just keep that in mind. So for a protocol, first of all, ask yourself, how much time do you have daily? And your brain loves routines. It really does. Anything it can put into a routine, it will. And it knows then how to kind of pace your psychological endurance for the day. I mean, there are times when I get online with attorneys for depots, and I'll tell them, look, I can be here all day, but I'm asking if you have a time frame or an estimate for today. It just helps me gauge my energy. If I know we're going to do a 2-hour job, I'm all in for 2 hours. If I know we're going to have an 8-hour job, I'm still all in, but they're not going to get the same energy level as those 2 hours. You got to meter yourself. You got to pay attention to your gas tank of energy. You just have to, or it'll wear you out. The worst thing can happen is when somebody says, "Oh, we're going to be here an hour," and then we're there 8 hours. Those are killers. So, what are you willing to commit to daily? What are you willing to do consistently, repetitively, to the point of ad nauseum every single day? What are you willing to show up and do? Pick some of these. Come up with a sequence that works for you. For some people, it's starting off with finger exercises, with finger drills, with getting the fingers warmed up, with practicing the combinations that are difficult. For other people, it's they want to do that separately at some other time during the day because it's kind of mindless and it's not listening to words coming through. It's just, an exercise. And there are a lot of them. There are, putting your hand on the table and lifting each finger. That's my weak one right there. There are all kinds of exercises you can do besides the finger exercises. Someone else also told me, don't ever, if you're going through the exercises, and you'll notice the book says, keep practicing them until you go through the whole book, and you go through that then every day. My thinking, and I was given this by somebody who got out of school in 1 year, 1 month, and 13 days. Thank you, you know who you are, who gave me this tip. Don't ever practice the finger stuff that is easy. Don't. You're wasting your valuable time on the stuff that you're already really good at. I mean, every once in a while, if you want to go through the whole book just because, you can flash and fly through it, fine. But otherwise, start on the ones that are really hard and put your focus on those. It's the hard ones. They're going to make you better. So other people say also, don't work both hands every day. Work one hand one day, one hand the next day, alternate. Because if you think about bodybuilding, about building muscles, you're breaking down the muscles as you're working, and then you're giving it a day to rest, theoretically, before you come back and hit it again. Which is also why some of us, and I'm one of them, if I'm working really hard on Thursday and Friday, and then I don't even touch my machine over the weekend, I come back on Monday and I'm like gangbusters. It's almost like the muscles have had a chance to heal from being broken down, from being exhausted, to rebuild and be ready to go. And it's kind of amazing. It took me 20 years to realize that was who I was. Find out what your strengths are, find out what your weaknesses are, and love all parts of you, because it is all parts of you. So finger exercises. Then steno practice in whatever way works for you. I mean, they're working at target, working at goal speed, working at, percentage up, dropping back down for accuracy. There are all kinds of parameters for that. I don't get into that a whole lot. Anna Fatima Costa is really good she's got a book out and she does coaching on mastering speed building. She knows what she's talking about. So steno practice in whatever way that works for you. I would suggest doing some takes that are smaller and doable. I would suggest doing some longer takes to get used to the idea, especially if you're in 160 and above, to get used to the idea that your working life is sometimes going to be hours behind that machine. And the one thing I noticed whenever I would take time off from work is when I come back, my back gets really tired because I'm not in that mode of endurance. I never lose speed when I'm off of my machine. And I've been off through 3 kids, months at a time. And then at one point in my career, I was off the machine for 8 years. I came back in 3 weeks and I was working. You don't lose speed. It is like riding a bicycle. You may lose accuracy and you may lose endurance, but you will not lose speed. So tell your brain that when it says, oh, I'm going on a vacation, or my kids are whatever, or I've got company, or I've got a job that's blah, 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 and I can't practice for a couple of weeks. Okay, so don't. And then come back, and within a day or 2 or 3, you're going to be right back where you were. It breaks my heart when I hear people who quit school for a couple of years and then come back and feel like they have to start over again. And if you're anywhere out of 140s, maybe review your theory, but don't start over. There's absolutely no reason why you should. I'm going to pause for just a second before I have a coughing fit. Okay, coughing fit averted. Next, what I call hearing practice. You can do this while you're behind your machine, or in the car, or running around the house, listening to television, listening to YouTube, listening to audible.com, listening. You are training your ears to hear faster. You're training your ears to hear words you're not used to hearing. Listen to fast, technical, unfamiliar material. You can find lectures from universities on subjects you would never want to have to report. Listen to those. Listen to them fast, at a speed at which you can still discern the separate words, but you don't know what the hell they're saying. I mean, you don't know really what they're talking about, but you're hearing the sounds and you're hearing the distinct division between the words. You're training your hearing to hear faster. You can only write as fast as your brain can recognize what it's hearing. And that's where you'll stumble, is in those moments when you hear the word squirrel and your brain just locks up. I mean, that was me at the first CSR. It was like, oh, dear God, my brain said, you've been in school for 4 years and you've never written the word squirrel. Well, actually, I had a psychological problem with the word squirrel, and I didn't know that at the time. It would take me another couple of decades. But in that moment, it didn't matter. I froze on the word squirrel. It's a one stroker. Come on. How hard can it be? And honest to goodness, 43 years later, your brain remembers. If you drop a word because it's not familiar or you stumble over something, your brain will remember. Mine sure as hell does. So hearing practice. And then I think this is really not emphasized nearly enough. Transcription practice. You cannot make the kind of money that you see us making without being really good at transcribing. And we think of, I got to get really good behind the machine. Well, you do, and you probably are. And for a lot of people that I work with, what's stumbling them up, what's tripping them up is the transcription. And they don't even realize you don't know what you don't know. But if you don't truly have your punctuation down pat, if you don't truly have your Q&A division stuff down completely, if you're not solid on the stuff that you're spelling, all of it, the weird, word vocabulary, all the words. If you're not really solid on that stuff, it can trip you up. You can get sloppy in the transcription part of the test. And so it's not always about, I don't have enough speed, I'm not fast enough. It may be that you're shaking and you're getting anxious and nervous because you're getting it. And there's a part of you that knows no matter how much you get of it, you can fall flat on your face in transcription. So get good at transcription. Get so good at it that you can do it in your sleep. Olivia Ford was talking to somebody at the convention recently, and they basically said that the reason they passed the test last time was they transcribed 30 mock tests before taking the California CSR. So if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. Would you rather do 30 now and have it done with and be over with and be on making money? Or no, I'm just going to do 5. I don't really like them. It's not really fun. It makes me feel depressed. When I see how many errors I got, I just want to quit. Well, you know what? That's the kind of person who's not going to make the kind of money you see us making out in the field. Those of us that share what we're making, we get pissed, we get mad, we pull up our boots and say, I'm doing the hard stuff. I'm going to do the hard stuff because it's going to make the rest of it easier. The more I work now, the easier my job is going to be later. The better I am at transcribing, the more money I'm going to be making out in the field. The faster I can do this, the more money I can make out in the field, the easier my job's going to be, the more of my life and my time I'm going to have back to myself. So transcription. I would suggest, if you can't do anything more than 3 minutes a day, do a take of 3 minutes. Transcribe it from beginning to end. I don't care how bad you think it is. I swear to you, your brain really knows if it's a pass or it's not a pass. Just do it. Just get in there and transcribe and get really good at transcribing. I have had people who said, well, it just didn't feel like a pass to me. Well, how do you know? I mean, it could be that part of you that's afraid of you to get your certificate and go out into the world and have to deal with attorneys that says to you, oh, That wasn't a pass. Don't worry about that one. Because I've seen people who are writing to a level that they would be passing 80–90% of the tests that they take, but they're afraid. There's something that's telling them, I'm not going to transcribe that because it's not a pass. Well, just get in there and do it. Because what? You're going to take a job that's a $500 job and say, well, I didn't really write it as well as I thought I did, as well as I could, so I'm not going to transcribe it. Really? That's your job. So get good at it. Lastly, read back practice. And this can come in a multitude of ways. But reading back your own crap will get you better at writing. It will make you a better writer. It will also help your brain to get better at reading through your own crap. Here's some magic that I didn't understand. When I was in the 100 class and I would be practicing at 140 and it felt like crap, like I'm just slapping the keys and, am I even hitting decent words here and there? Or I'd be doing 100 words per minute and do a 120 take, and there'd be that moment when my notes would just shatter, is what I call them. In those times, when you're writing faster than a comfortable speed, your notes are going to fall apart. It's what happens. There are people out there who will tell you, oh, you have to write accurately all the time. If that works for them, fine. I am a really, really solid, good writer, but I wasn't when I was in school. And I allowed myself to have the bad strokes. And somebody with brilliance told me, the misstrokes that you hit when you're going at 100 words per minute are exactly the same misstrokes you're going to hit at 200 words per minute, because it's what your neurology and it's what your musculature does. Your body likes routine and your mind does too. And so the things you drag and add and stumble on are going to be the same thing from beginning to career. And so get good at that. Read through your own stuff. I had somebody, I thought this was brilliant, that she said what she would do was take like a 1-minute take at the end of every day and then put it away. And when her husband was having coffee and reading the paper in the morning, she would put her earphones in and sit there and look at her notes that she had taken at the end of yesterday and just be aware of her dragging and her dropping and her missing things. And not to make any kind of judgment, but you're also allowing the part of your brain that is working behind the scenes because it's really clever. It's going to look at what it thought it heard compared to what came out through your hands, and it's going to realize, oh, well, there's a different way to do that. Or every time this word comes up, I stumble. Every time it gets this fast, we drop. Every time it's knowing what's going on, even though you don't. And unfortunately, it can't shoot a memo down to your conscious brain and say, here's what's stumbling you when you're writing. Here's what's the thing that's tripping you up in a test. It can't do that. So we've just got to keep going and doing, and reading back, practicing reading back is one of the best things you can do for speed building, for accuracy, and for getting out of school faster. So the last thing, a couple of them, end with enthusiasm. End with something that you walk away from that machine at the end of a practice session and you feel like, I got that one. See, no matter what happens between when you start and when you finish, and there's a lot that happens, but when you walk away from the machine, you do one last take that feels like butter. And your brain says, oh, we can do this. There's bad stuff, there's hard stuff, there's other stuff, but I can do this. You walk away feeling like, I can do this. And then the very last thing is to make time for you. I hated those words. I don't have time for that shit. I got work to do. I got practicing to do. I got kids. I got dogs. I got family. and I don't got time for me. But there's magic in even 5 minutes a day where you stop everything and you sit in a quiet place by yourself, light a candle, have a cup of tea, put on some music, just sit in your car where the sun is shining through and it feels warm and cozy and you just want to go to sleep, and give yourself 5 minutes of you getting in touch with you, of you closing off the outside world that we're bombarding against and trying to reflect back from and be good enough for, to come back to you, to just come back to who you truly are, to feel the power that's within you, to allow for a moment to know that there's a higher, stronger, readier version of you waiting for you to catch up. There's a part of you that knows that you are so much closer than you could ever imagine that you are. Make the time for you. 5 minutes. 5 minutes to decompress, to have something that just settles within you. 5 minutes for your neurology to come back into order and to balance, to come back to you. This is our habit. This is our practice every single day. Start off with the intentions of where you want to go and finish with coming back to you. It's all full circle, every bit of it. So if anybody has any questions about this, let me know. But if you want a daily practice, if you do this consistently, even when it feels like you are not getting results, if you can do it consistently, you will get progress. And if you add to it 21 days at a pop of listening to a hypnosis recording that is geared towards shifting your mind into believing what's possible for you in the steno world, it will change everything. And if you don't believe me, ask some of the people that I work with, because we don't call it magic for court reporters for nothing. It is. You guys have a great day. I will talk to you soon.